part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and today we are talking about Spider-Man Far From Home, a.k.a. the one I forgot about. I truly forgot about this movie. This was such a delightful... This is my second time watching this movie, and I had a dang delight. And I have two delightful guests to take me on this Spider-Man journey from New York to Europe to back to New York. My first guest is an actor, writer, and comedian, and their name is Jillian Ebanks. Jillian, hello, how are you?
Hello. It is me, Jillian Ebanks.
We don't tell lies in this podcast, except when we do. My other performer, if you can believe it, is also an actor, writer, and comedian. Their name is Hannah Ingle. What's up, Hannah?
Hello, hi. Happy to be here. A little bit nervous, but excited.
Oh my gosh. All you have to do is talk about how you feel. And that's all I ask. Are you in the same Second City touring company, I believe? So you guys...
We are. We spend a lot of time together.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like 90% of our time.
Yeah, truly.
I'm happy to have, hopefully we can bring some of that chemistry onto this podcast because Michael will tell you we need it. So, okay, I think fans of this podcast, and by that I mean Isaac Snyder. Thank you for listening, Isaac.
Hey, Isaac.
Isaac is
Shout out to Isaac.
Shout out to Isaac, the only one who I know is listening to this podcast. The original idea for this was supposed to be like newbies and experts, but I found that made people who were labeled as newbies feel self-conscious. But we have returned to that with this episode because, Hannah, this was your very first Marvel movie ever.
Yes, first Marvel movie. I don't really ever dabble in superheroes, so this was I was coming at it with very fresh eyes.
Yeah. Ooh, I even know your book history because you are like exclusively a memoir reader as well.
I do read mostly memoirs, but then I've been dabbling in a little bit more fiction, but like no comic books, anything like that. It's very much a lot of memoirs. Yeah.
Amazing. And then Jillian, you are the exact opposite. You are like, you're deep in the lore.
Yeah, I don't read comics, but I am deep in the movie and series lore. I've seen every single Marvel project that has come out in this newer phase, like in the 2008 to 2023 phase. I've seen all the movies at least once, probably twice, and then some. And I've watched all the Disney Plus shows. You know, I'm watching those Easter egg videos.
You gotta watch the Easter egg videos.
You know, and I'm pumped for, you know, this next month or this month. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah. I think when this episode comes out, we will already have seen Quantum Mania.
Yes.
So I think I'll like it. Anyway, but we are here to talk about Spider-Man, Tom Holland. What I would say, you know, I think we were saying before we started recording, just a nice teen romance, a teen rom-com, just a couple of teens going to Europe and dealing with some monsters that were actually made up by Jake Gyllenhaal. Where to start? Well, I guess, so going back to Hannah, initial thoughts on this movie. How did you feel during and after?
So I would say I was going into it, I kept putting it off. You know, it's just never something that draws me in per se. So definitely felt like homework. And then I sat down with it actually this morning and I thought, you know, I was really invested in the B plot. I wanted to see, you know, I really enjoyed watching, you know, the love story and the necklace. And I thought it was very fun with all of the teens. And so then it would be like when a superhero would come up or whenever a monster, I was like, oh, like it felt like, I was like, oh my God, could you like beat them so we could go back and like figure out this like love triangle going on.
Which I would say is also how the characters feel in the movie. They want to get through the monster. So
well, and that's like the whole time I was like, okay, he should just not be Spider-Man anymore.
Honestly, I had that thought as well. Going over to Jillian Ebanks, where does Tom Holland rank for you amongst the Spider-Men?
So Tom Holland ranks first for me.
Whoa.
Ooh, okay.
And I've seen all the Spider-Men. But now having seen all of them, I think it's Tom Holland. And then it's like, I actually really liked Andrew Garfield. And then it's Toby, which is wild. This is a hot take.
Okay.
But I like Tom Holland. He looks the youngest and he feels the most kiddish. And I think they did a good job with his movies with no origin story. Because even the movie before this, he's already Spider-Man. He's my fave. I'm not going to apologize for it.
I think I felt bad for him because I was like, he's missing out on high school. And like, I was like, I wish he was just a little bit older. And I just felt bad for him because I felt he was so pulled away, but I was like, what are the benefits of him? That's what I guess I don't know. Like, what is he benefited from being Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's benefited at all, to be honest.
Well, that's pretty selfish for someone to put that on him.
Right. And I think I kind of am landing there with Tom Holland's character because it's like, because we didn't get an origin story, he's kind of just is Spider-Man. Like the first time we meet him, Iron Man finds some video of him being Spider-Man and just like approaches him like, hey, I need you to join the Avengers for this adventure. And because of that, I missed out on like why he chose to do this. And because of that, this whole movie, he kind of was bugging me, bug pun, because again, he's a teen and it's a lot of responsibility. Everyone's expecting him to be like the leader of the Avengers now that Iron Man has died. But it's like, what did you think was going to happen, Spidey? Like, like I really have an issue with teens not accepting their responsibility, and that makes me an old man.
So here's the thing. I feel like I'll approach this movie differently. So, if you didn't know what happened before this, like essentially, Hannah, Marvel spent like seasons and years creating this plot. And the movie right before the one we watch is where like the plot culminated and everything happened and a lot of people died. Mainly,
I noticed that the in memoriam at the top of the movie. Yes. I was like, is this how every Marvel movie starts? Like,
no.
And Iron Man dying was like a huge deal. When I watched this movie, I remember being like, I feel bad for Peter because he's like low-key grieving. Like they don't really go into it too much. They do, but like he lost Iron Man, who essentially was his father figure and like his hero. He watched his hero die, which like, so for me, there's a level of like, I feel this kid just wants to be a kid. Like, like he lost 5 years of his life. He lost like his hero and he just wants to go to Europe with his friends because he's had a really hard time. And you guys are making him fight bad guys.
Okay,
and
question.
He wants to act Zendaya out.
He doesn't have parents. Is that it? Is Melissa Tomei his
aunt,
guardian, his aunt?
Yeah.
Which she has, is she a recurring character?
Yes.
And does she always have such long
nobody say
hair?
anything. Just yes. Yes.
Okay. She has really, I couldn't stop looking at her hair. Like it was such a choice that her hair was like waist length and like beautifully thick. And I was like, I just couldn't figure out what her vibe was.
That's her vibe. This like sexy, cool that's like, don't forget your spider suit.
And then Jon Favreau, he is like his keeper.
So Jon Favreau, he was the assistant / security guard for Iron Man, Tony Stark. So his character's also like, without Iron Man, it's like, where do I do? Where do I go? And he's, as you see, kind of began a summer fling with Aunt May.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. And so they're both reoccurring in the Spider-Mans, and Jon Favreau is reoccurring throughout the entire kind of Marvel movies because there's like 20 something at this.
Yeah. And also I feel like we're contractually obligated. We should say Jon Favreau directed the very first Marvel movie with Iron Man. So he kind of is like the godfather of the whole thing. So he's always doing cameos. It's like, thank you for directing a successful movie.
And so would you say Iron Man, what I gathered from watching that, everyone loves Iron Man. Everyone looks up to Iron Man. He the leader? The leader?
He was.
He was. With a little assist from Captain America, but like more than he was the money. He funded everything.
He was the money. He was the leader. He was, he was like, I'm going to figure out a nice metaphor for Hannah before this ends of like, he was the this. Like, but I got to figure it out.
Okay.
While you're thinking of that, let's go to Mexico because we also have to talk about Nick Fury. So Nick Fury, Hannah, how did you? I feel like we're checking out on Hannah this whole time. Like, did you get this? We start with Nick Fury and Maria Hill, played by Colby Smulders, going to Mexico to investigate some kind of disturbance. Hannah, what was your relationship like with Nick Fury in this watch?
Is Nick Fury Samuel L. Jackson?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I was like definitely like, are you mad? Like he felt mad the whole time. Well, I was why is he mad the whole time? I didn't know what his associate, like he was in charge of all the superheroes. What was confusing to me is Marvel a business? Is it a corporation? Like it seemed like people were like being fired and there was like power dynamics. Cause then I was like, how does him and Jon Favreau, they had weird tension for some reason at the end. And I was like, it seems like he was in charge of everything.
Yeah, so like Nick Fury, he was the one that kind of started to connect all the movies because he was like the first character to appear and everything, and his whole deal, he found superheroes and he was like, oh, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, y'all should work together, and like he didn't lead the Avengers, but it was his idea.
Okay. Does he have powers?
No, he's just really cool.
Do we know how he got the scars?
There's a movie that explains.
You have to watch a movie. I think I have a good analogy for Hannah, right?
Okay.
So Marvel, essentially, there's like several main characters. So if we think of them as like housewife cities, like Iron Man is Beverly Hills, but Spider-Man is New York, but Thor is the housewives of Jersey.
Potomac. Oh, Jersey. Okay.
Potomac. Whatever.
Oh, I like this game.
Captain America is Atlanta, right? So they each have their own separate franchises, but then occasionally there's a season of housewives where people
the ultimate girls trip.
There's like an ultimate girls trip, and it's like maybe we have Bethany, but we have Nene, but we have Dana, but we have Teresa, and so there's like this weird overlap.
This is absolutely incredible.
Movies.
So then, would Samuel L. Jackson be Andy Cohen?
Yes.
100%.
And Samuel Jackson is the person that got the group together. He's the person that finds each superhero. Andy Cohen is Samuel Jackson. That is yes.
Okay. Now I'm you're talking in terms I can understand now.
Yes.
Precisely. Whereas like Jon Favreau might be like really only with Beverly Hills. Like, you know, he's really only with Tony, but Samuel Jackson is Andy Cohen. Like,
Okay.
So, that's why everyone knows Samuel Jackson.
And I'm trying to think of who Iron Man would probably be like a
Kyle Ryan, or not? I know Kyle Ryan. Sorry,
Kyle. Kyle Richards.
Kyle Richards, yes.
Or what's her face?
Lisa Vanderpump.
Lisa Vanderpump.
Yeah,
Lisa Vanderpump.
Like Iron Man is the original, the face, like once.
Okay.
Like
so. Yes, and so this is like season 10 of Real Houses of Beverly Hills, the first season without Lisa Vanderpump. Can we go on?
Yes.
Okay,
got
it.
I have to limit myself here. I've never actually really watched Housewives, so my experience is like my knowledge of it's going to end, but everything we're saying I think is working.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I watch both. So
okay. This is redirecting us back into the movie, but I'm curious for you guys, this may be skipping ahead. But did you guys know Jake Gyllenhaal was bad the whole time?
So that's interesting. Jillian, what's your answer?
Yes and no. He's never been in any other movie.
Okay.
So me, the watcher of this is like, oh, Jake Gyllenhaal's good. Me, the person that watches movie and says, well, there's no real villain yet. I think he's bad. So I thought he was bad just having watched movies and being like, this is random guy comes that we've never seen before, but I didn't know for sure until he turned bad. I had no idea until he turned bad.
And this is where some comic book knowledge that I have. So I knew because the name Mysterio is like one of Spider-Man's many villains. So I knew Mysterio was bad, but I thought this movie was so interesting that they presented him as a good guy at first. I was like, oh, I knew there was going to be a switch coming because I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to do this. This is for my comic book nerds out there. This is for Isaac Snyder listening. Mysterio is the Riddler of Spider-Man villains.
Okay.
The Riddler is a villain of Batman.
Did you see no light come on in my eyes whenever you said that?
I have never seen your face less reactive. Stone face. So we got this Mysterio guy. So he does show up in this first scene. So thank you, Hannah. This does bring us back. So Sam Jackson and Maria Hill, Andy Cohen and Maria Hill are in Mexico.
Yes.
And what is this? The dirt monster? There's like a tornado thing.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think that's the first one. You're like, okay.
right.
Which
then
happens
I
at the
think-
top of any action movie where you're like, they're setting up. I should pay attention because I need to care about this, but I don't because I just sat down in my seat.
Mhm.
And then Jake Gyllenhaal said something like, "You shouldn't be here," and
Yeah.
then and I was like, "What?" At that point, I had no fucking clue what was going on.
But then don't worry, because we hear the sweet sounds of Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a movie watcher, when this movie came out, I just remember sitting there and being like, well, how are they going to explain the snap? And so I definitely loved the little intro of the kids explaining the in memoriam of everyone dying.
That was such a wonderful recap to have like a high school TV news team explain to you what happened in the last Avengers movie. I absolutely love that. With who is that guy? Oh no, wait. I know him from a movie that I don't want to admit that I like. Never mind. So it was a team.
No, you have to say it.
He was in
Is
Love
it Transformer?
Simon.
Oh.
No, it was Love Simon.
Love Simon.
It's also a Transformers Bumblebee.
We both fucked up. So we get a recap of the blip and everything. We also, I think this is where we established that they're calling it the blip. I feel like we in the world call it the snap in the real world, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, they call it the blip, which I think that's a mistake. It's literally someone snapped their fingers,
his fingers
and everyone went away, but whatever. So we, established the new rules, the new timeline that people like, because there was a 5-year difference. Like there are people, I forgot that this is a thing, that there are people who had younger siblings that are now older than them because they were gone for 5 years, which is so messed up. But hey, that's life in the MCU. Yada, yada, yada. We're going to Europe. We're focusing in on Peter Parker and his high school. They're taking, what is this? Just a class summer trip?
A science class. They were learning science in Europe.
Yes.
One of the biggest science headquarters of the world. Italy.
Yeah, I love how JB Smooth kept reminding us that this was a science trip. Was this whole thing, am I correct in thinking this was all orchestrated by Nick Fury to get Spider-Man to Europe? Is that correct?
I think so, because he kept ignoring his calls.
Kept ghosting him, yeah.
Yeah, he kept ghosting him. And I think Andy Cohen's like, do you know who I am? You don't ghost me.
The reunion is in Italy.
Yeah.
You need to be there. So yeah, I mean, before we go to Europe, is there anything we want to say about Life in Queens? Anything about Aunt May and this little like charity event she was putting on?
Well, at first I was like, is she his teacher? Like there was like this love there, but then it was like also encouraging her. How many people are allowed to know he's Spider-Man? Is there a number?
I mean, anyway, at the end of did you stay for the post-credit sequence?
Yeah.
And
now
we all know. Oh, you didn't see where everyone found
Spider-Man now?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, We'll
talk about that when we get there.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I'm skipping ahead.
So only really like other superheroes and like his closest friends, which we'll get to, which is why only like Ned, his friend, and Aunt May really knows, because because people are crazy and they'll jeopardize his safety.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which literally did happen as soon as Jake Gyllenhaal found out he was Spider-Man. Oh yeah, let's kill all his friends. It's like, oh no, the one thing he didn't want to happen. Yeah. So he's planning on just having a relaxed summer, no superhero business, just a quick science trip to Europe.
And also, let it be known, I don't know if it's clear, but Spider-Man got snapped, Hannah. So Spider-Man lost these 5 years. He disappeared and then got brought back. And when he got brought back, Iron Man died and now the world's saved. But like also he's like, I've been gone for 5 years. What?
Okay. But he's always like Zendaya.
Yeah, he liked her before the snap. Yeah. They've been classmates. So
okay.
It's been an ongoing flirtation.
Okay.
And he's planning on popping the question of like, do you want to go out?
Yep, in the Eiffel Tower was the original plan. Doing it at the
so romantic. So romantic.
Did we like the necklace? Did we like the necklace that he got her?
I liked the necklace. Yeah. I thought it was cute. I thought it was really, really sweet.
Yeah.
I do like this pairing because I feel like, in all the Spider-Man movies, there's always a girl. There's always a girl,
Yeah.
whether it's Kirsten Dunst, Emma Stone, and now Zendaya. It's always the love interest. And I like this one just because Zendaya is she's so weird as MJ.
Yes.
So I like that he has a crush on a girl who's like so punk rock. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the movie before this is like they're in high school still, and he has a crush on a different girl, but Zendaya is like his classmate in debate club, and the other girl is just like your classic like popular model movie actress that the nerdy guy wants. And like I love that they like gave Zendaya some like layers and like made her have opinions and like just made her fun, like,
Yeah.
she just wasn't a classic, I feel like, rom-com YA dumb teen that's just like, oh, Peter Parker, you have a crush on me, so I really
For
like
sure.
that they give her some layers.
The other guy, the other love interest, I was like, he's pretty cute. Maybe she should have a little romp before locking it down with Spider-Man.
And Hannah, let's say that again. Okay, this is not a relationship advice podcast by any means, but I am very pro the romp before the real,
Yes, like get it out of your system. Like
Peter always gonna be there. Peter always gonna be there.
He's never gonna leave.
Exactly. So like have a little fun and then lock it down.
And don't be like his other best friend, Ned, who I love this subplot that Ned had a whole relationship on the class trip.
And like I did not see that coming. Like
No.
I thought it was gonna be like they were kind of fighting the whole trip, and then at the end they were gonna be together, but we went through the entire cycle with that couple.
Yeah.
They just get a little turbulence, so they touch hands and they're like,
oh, we're together.
I never thought about you. What's her name? Betsy? Becky or Betsy?
Honestly, she looks like both. So it could be either.
Yeah.
Becky Betsy.
Betty.
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 We were so close.
So sorry to this girl. My apologies. So we land in Europe. Are y'all world travelers? I've never been to Europe before.
I've never been to Europe either.
I have been to Europe.
Okay, expert
Okay,
alert.
she has money.
Speak on it.
I think I've only been to London out of the places they went in the movie, because they land in,
I
it gets
Italy?
rerouted. They don't end up going to Paris. Oh wait, did they go to Italy?
I think they go to like some sort of a like Italy canal city.
But
Mhm.
I think if they're in I think they're in Venice, and I've never been to Venice.
Okay.
Oh,
And so
that
I think
makes
they're
sense.
like I've been to Rome and Florence, and I was like, I was on a high school class trip and I was 16. So
what?
Really weird, but yeah. So I've been to it was like a London, Paris, Italy trip, and I was 16. So this is kind of insane. So ask away.
Did it match up to your reality?
I mean, it was very much like that. There were people hooking up on the plane. It wasn't me, but it was definitely like that. Like when we definitely got shuffled, and it was like you had your teachers / like people's parents who were like the chaperones, and they're like, we're going here. And you're like, I really don't want to actually see the church in Notre Dame. I want to go get some croissants. Like, I think that's very true of like teachers wanting you to see stuff. And you're like, I kind of want to go to the Louis Vuitton store, even though like I can't buy anything. You want me to look at the Louvre? But it was like a mixed bag like that. And I was with some friends. It was way more women than men. I think there was 2 straight men on the trip. And so I definitely wasn't getting my romance on. But there was fighting like that. Like there was like infighting with like girls being like, you can't hang out with them. And there definitely was like people, the two straight men that were there hooking up with people they shouldn't have. So it was definitely messy.
And maybe this paints how I was in high school, but I feel like when I was 16, I took a trip to New York City, the Big Apple. And I don't know. I would always prefer to be the person gossiping than the one being gossiped about, especially on like a teen class trip. Like, y'all be messy.
So you're a mean girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you doubt?
Yeah. No, I've always known that about you.
I don't want you to doubt that. Hannah, did you go on any trips in high school?
I don't know that I went on this real crazy like, do you guys know Young Life? Like it was like that it was like a youth group, like in high school, but it was like all like the cool people did it. So like at my school, it was very like the cool people were like in this youth group called Young Life. And we went on this trip every year called Rad Dog, which we get on a bus. They don't tell us where we're going. And then we wake up 12 to like 16 hours later and we're in some city. And it was crazy. Like in retrospect, I think they told our parents where we were going, but I can't be sure. But
so would you just be like looking at the signs, like we're going towards Chicago, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. And we never knew, but it would be like Indianapolis or like some fucking like not that cool of a city. But I remember that was the first time I ever went to an improv show. Is we went to like, I think we were I can't even remember what city it was, but we went to some short form improv show that was like clean because we were on like a youth trip. And I remember it being like, this is cool. This is fun. But it was definitely like a Christian, like youth group vibe, which meant everyone was horny as shit. And so it was just like, we weren't allowed to share blankets because there was like, hands would be going. And I put teenagers in like an overnight capacity. It's just like everyone's all riled up.
I love that. So you on your trip discovered a love for improv, just like Peter Parker on his trip discovered a love for being a superhero.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm just like Peter Parker.
I've been trying to tell you that for years. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We're going to take a quick little break. Enjoy these the sponsorship ad breaks for Press Play podcast, and we'll be right back. And I promise you, we're going to talk about superheroes on the Superhero Podcast. So keep it right here. Podcast 616 will be right back. Welcome everyone to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and I am inviting you to listen and subscribe to this Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. On Podcast 616, we gather some of today's greatest comedians, writers, and actors to dive deep into all things Marvel, like comic book history and lore, all the interconnected superhero storylines, and of course, who's hot and who's not in the MCU. Honestly, why aren't you listening right now? You have the power to listen to Podcast 616. And as we always say, with great power comes even greater responsibility. Listen and subscribe to Podcast 616 wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomenal CBD Store and PhenomenalCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, CBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. Jillian, you are chomping at the bit to talk about our guy, the replacement of Iron Man, unfortunately, Mysterio. We were talking to the break, so you're having an issue with Mysterio. Is it Mysterio or Jake Gyllenhaal? Because I have issues with both.
It's a little bit of both. I think this is the creator side of me is going to come out. I think you should judge a movie by just it being itself. I think it's really hard to do just like a one-off villain when you've built up villains. And so I just was like, when he first came on, I was like, okay, it's Jake Gyllenhaal, familiar face, great. But I didn't trust him, I didn't trust him. Like, we know about the multiverse, but I'm like, where'd you come from? Why you got this floating head, this fishbowl? Like, I didn't like his outfit. No. He was too friendly. And he's just like, yeah, Peter, I mean, you're a kid. You should just go. I didn't trust him. Didn't trust him.
Yeah. Also, I had a hard time buying that the world would be like, oh, wow, a man with a crystal ball for a head. I love this superhero. Hannah Ingle, this was your first Marvel villain. How did you take in the Gyllenhaal effect?
So I didn't know, like, any context, obviously. So I was like, oh, okay, he's a good guy, and he's, coming in and being kind. And I find Jake Gyllenhaal attractive. I do. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I know. And but there was a moment seared into my mind when they were at the bar, and he tricks Spider-Man to give him the glasses, and
Oh,
then he walks out, and he has like, it had to have been like one of the cringiest performances of him turning his head, and he was like, "Wah." And like it was like okay, like the director told him to be like, and this is your moment to show your evil. And like it was like this like really crazy smile, and I was just like, oh no, like
We're not
stop
doing this.
that, no, stop. But then it all came to fruition that in that moment that he was bad, and then we got the whole like Steve Jobs kind of like backstory.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What I kind of chopped it up to is his technology got stolen by Iron Man.
Yeah. Putting on my nerd cap again to give some Mysterio lore. So Mysterio, I believe in the original conception of him as a comic book villain, he was a stunt coordinator. Like he worked on movies, like he did special effects for movies. And he just kind of like took some of the technology from movie studios and like went into the streets to like truly rob 7-Elevens. Like he's kind of like a street criminal. But for this movie, they like bumped it up a little bit. That was really cool. I'm sure, Jillian, you also noticed how like like all these people, or at least two people, were seen in other movies. Like Jake Gyllenhaal created that like hologram thing that we saw in Civil War.
Yes. They made it link. They made it matter. They made the technology that he had made matter, and they kind of cut together some scenes and like inserted him in like other stuff.
Like it was like a scene from a movie, and then it was like you see the blurriness come, and then he's like in the background, like.
I would have loved if they had cast Jake Gyllenhaal just to do that.
He was there the whole time.
Yeah.
They just had to focus the camera right, but he's been there. He's been there.
And then they had the other guy, kind of his tech person from Iron Man 1, as the guy from truly my favorite line reading of any Marvel movie is Jeff Bridges saying, "Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps." It's so funny how he says it. I don't know why it makes you laugh, but it does. But the fact that they gave that person he shouted that to a whole character, and now we see him now in the Spider-Man movie. Love it. Mysterio. Here's what I'll say. I love in movies where the person who you thought was your mentor is actually your greatest villain, like the friend turned enemy. I think that's so delicious as like for story. It's like, you were my friend, Mysterio, but now I realized your name was so stupid. So I feel
like Tom Holland didn't actually trust him that much, because he was like, oh, all along Iron Man wanted me to give these glasses to him. And I'm just like, no, dude, you want to go fuck Zendaya. Like you're just like looking for like any reason to like give up any kind of power you have. You're like, oh, this dude I met for 2 seconds, he was the plan all along. I just met him, but this is what it's like, no.
Like even
if you didn't fishing for like someone to push us off on.
But my thing is like, even that was my only issue with Spider-Man. It's like, okay, even if you do want to be a superhero, which again, it's valid. Like a superhero is upending your life. You're 17, you want to be a kid. I don't fault you for that, but you didn't have to give him those glasses. Like Tony Stark left you those glasses, which like in the scheme of these movies is so important. Like you could have just gave him the happy, or just said like, Aunt May, hold these, Nick Fury, hold these. But for you to give it to a stranger, and like Hannah, the thing is, they're not in the movie. I think he mentions in the beginning, like in the middle of the movie when they're like, we need your help, and he's like, can't you call Thor? Or like, where's Cap? Like there's so many other heroes. It's like you could have gave these glasses to anyone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give him the Hawkeye for all I care.
Yeah, heroes that he's met, because all the heroes met in Endgame. Like he just was in a huge battle with every superhero he's ever met, and he's like the first new one. He's like, well, it must be for you.
And this is probably going to be a hot take, but Spider-Man doesn't seem that powerful in terms of what he can do, and like I was like, when he was up against a monster, I was like, how is he going to beat him with just the webs? Like all he really did in any of those scenarios was like hold big buildings in place while someone else finished the job. You know what I mean? Like he was just kind of there to like help structure stay in place is what.
And he's not that strong because he's a kid. Like he's definitely not the strongest Avenger. And he's definitely like a kid. And so I think he's never meant to lead, which is why he's kind of like, why are you bothering me with this? I'm a child. Like, go find one of the big guys.
I will say to that point of like him this was not a movie that showcased the Spider-Man abilities that well, which I think led into, because he has like a lot of self-doubt. You know, he's really, which I did like, you know, he's nervous. It's like, you know, that reporter in the beginning is like, are you the leader of the Avengers now? So I think, you know, the reason he didn't come off as like that great of a superhero is because like he doesn't feel like that great of a superhero. And yeah, I agree. These big monsters are not like, punch this big water person.
Oh my God. There was a line and it was so corny. It was someone said like, who's that guy about Mysterio? And it's like, I don't know, but he's kicking that water's ass or something like that. And I was like, oh God.
Needed a second pass on that line.
Kicking that water's ass.
What did you think of Ned covering for Peter and coming up with the name Night Monkey? He's in the black suit.
Just happy it's not a black person in that cat. Like, I was like, Night Monkey. What are we? But I think it's supposed to be dumb because it's like the fact that he didn't come with his costume and now he has to have a new costume. I think it's supposed to be ridiculous.
Oh,
and also when he got the costume from that woman who was like aggressively like, take off your clothes. And then
the rest stop. Take off your clothes.
The rest stop. Her with no context, it was just like, take off your clothes. And then the fact that the hot guy took a picture of him and is like, look, if you want to have sex with random European women. And then that was going to be the big blackmail to get Zendaya. Like, insane.
I did enjoy the bus scene where he like activates the drones by accident and almost kills everyone.
And he's like, look, what does he say? What does he point at something? They're like, look over there.
Baby mountain goats.
Baby mountain goats. And the whole bus rushes to the
runs. Not one person peeks.
Not one.
He like jumps up. But that's the classic trope. Like he jumps up through the window and shoots the gun, the drones down. And you're like, yeah, we're here. This is Spider-Man, baby.
I mean, that's fun because I don't read.
I love it.
Yeah. And I don't read a lot of Spider-Man comics, but apparently that is what where Spider-Man is now. It's a lot like this feel because I think the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfields are much more like the sacrifice. I can't be with you, Mary Jane. I'm Spider-Man. And this one, I always love a superhero that's like, fuck this. I want to date this person. Leave me alone. So we get this reveal. We get this twist that Mysterio is actually the villain. And then Peter tries to go after him. Jillian, what did you think of the like? I'm steeped in like Ant-Man movies right now. So I'm like, thinking about the quantum realm and like the weird psychedelic visuals. So what do you think of Mysterio's?
When I saw it the first time, I was unwell, like in the best way, like because it was just so intense and it was like I mean they have like dead Tony come and you're just like, oh my God, like you're not emotionally prepared. I don't like to talk about fiction like it's not real, but we all as watchers were grieving it too. So you're like, it was a lot. I remember when I first saw it, I thought it was so cool, like everything with like the trains passing and all the visuals. I think having seen it a couple of times now, it's not as mystifying to me. But the first time I saw it and you realize like he's not Nick Fury and that like that was just all crazy. Like I was like, oh shit, like 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 would watch again. Hannah Ingle, how did you feel about the mystical Mysterio sequences?
It took me a while to realize that he physically had no powers and that it was all just like a projection. I don't know what that means, the different multiverses. Like what you guys were just talking, like sounded like a different language. Yeah. But I was just kind of like, this dude's a hack. Like what is his what the end game is for you to like put on essentially like a backyard movie for people and that kills a bunch of people and then be like, yeah, I'm a superhero and just get the fame from that is just so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that he has no actual powers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't, I guess, a little more backstory to be like, to understand his need for this power and prestige. And I did think it was because it made me think of all of these like drones, and I'm like, this seems like something that maybe I'm just dumb, maybe it already does happen, that we like in war use a shit ton of drones to just like fuck shit up, or that can be like released like that. It seemed kind of real-ish, like that could be something that could happen.
And I want to clarify, it's still fuck Jake Gyllenhaal. I was impressed with like the actual the visuals that he made to like, I was impressed with like what Marvel chose to do in terms of like the visuals to like fuck with Tom Holland in terms of like catching Zendaya.
Yeah.
But like the fact that it was just like Jake Gyllenhaal doing drones, I'm like, man, you still whack as hell, bro. Like,
yeah.
But the visuals that he created, I was like, whoa, yeah.
So good. But you're right. At the end of the day, it's just lights. It's just smoke and mirrors, which is, again, honors Mysterio, which is why he's such a goofy villain, because like he just tricks you. And like once it's like the It monster for the movie It. Once you realize that it's like you just have to remember not to be afraid, you can defeat him. I think we're all agreed. Fuck you, Mysterio. I think is kind of our stance.
Yeah.
As a podcast.
Yeah. I agree. And you could tell that he was trying to prey upon like Spider-Man's innocence and get in his head, because like in those moments where he was, I believed it whenever Samuel L. Jackson shot him and then he was like dead for a second, and I was like, there's about 40 minutes left in this movie. Well, what now?
Big kiss scene.
Totally. I could see that their logic behind, let's fuck with this boy's head who's already in his head all the time.
Yeah. Man, really took me when he got hit by the train. I was like, I was like, oh my God, I forgot that happened. Then we go to the Netherlands.
What actually would kill him? Like, is there I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out in terms of being a superhero. What's like this limit that they hit? Because they're falling off of buildings and they're getting hit by trains, and then they're like, ouch, okay.
And they slowly get up.
And then like Jon Favreau is like using like a needle and thread on Spider-Man's back, and then he's like, you're fixed. And I'm like, is he a doctor?
Yeah, it kind of varies. So the hard thing is it kind of varies by superhero based on how the superhero was created. So like every superhero is different. Like Spider-Man got bit by a radioactive spider, so his powers are very different than Iron Man. Iron Man actually didn't really have powers. He just was like had a heart operated by like machinery, and so the heart like that allowed him to be in a suit. But Iron Man was human, so that's why Iron Man ends up dying, because like whereas like Thor is a god, so it really varies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with Spider-Man,
no continuity.
I was just
no continuity.
No. There's Spider-Man heals very quickly. I think it's
okay, like spiders.
Yeah, like like famously, it's hard to kill a spider.
Spiders do, yeah.
I was raised, if you ever see a spider, you got to flush it to really know that it's gone. Because even if you crush it, that spider could come back. In the Royster household, we flush spiders.
Wow.
That would be my that's the villain that can defeat Spider-Man. The flush.
That seems like a lot more work than just crushing them.
Yeah.
I grew up. We had a big backyard where there was a lot of spiders. Okay, whatever. Spiders and ants, which
you flush ants down the toilet.
Hannah, I can't get into this again.
That seems crazy. But carry on.
Spider-Man reconnects with Happy, Jon Favreau. He gets his, that
tulip field, and a gorgeous tulip field. I love that they like added little elements of Europe. That was fun.
Yeah,
a sprinkling of.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes. Is them on the spaceship, like that very human moment of him being like, "I miss him," and he's like, "Me too." And then, Hannah, you don't know the payoff, but like Tony Stark creating his Iron Man suit was such a big thing, and so Spider-Man sitting down and creating this suit was just like it was very emotional. It was like a payoff. It was a payoff for like past literature. It was like I was like, you make this suit.
And Jon Favreau's looking at him, and Peter Parker's like, "What are you looking at?" And John's like, "Nothing." Like,
nothing.
You see,
waterworks.
And then he was like,
Because you know that's Tony's jam.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it's from the other one. Yeah, so it's a huge payoff that, like, I'm not gonna lie, choke me up.
And that's what's so different watching it with like virgin eyes is I was like, oh, I guess everyone goes to the back of the plane and makes a suit. That's
Honestly,
the special plane. That's a special plane that they do that in.
yeah, this is where they get the suits. So then cut to London. Mysterio's lost it. He's done that thing all Marvel villains do. They go full maniac right around the third act of the movie.
We're gonna kill everyone you love.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, remember when you had such a tight, meticulous way? Like, he infiltrated Nick Fury. Like, he tricked Nick Fury. Like, and then now he's like, kill everybody. So we go. What is this? The London Bridge? Is this where this is happening?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
London Bridge, Tower, because I think the
London
groups in like the Tower London, but it's all kind of like around each other.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I really like this action sequence. I think, even though I said earlier that, you know, it was not a great showcase for Spider-Man abilities, as someone who's watched a lot of Spider-Man movies, I thought it was really cool to watch him deal with all these like thousands of drones. I thought that was really cool. At this point, I'm just going to shout out things I thought were cool. What did you guys think were cool?
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. The action sequence parts really lose me. And that's kind of where I like go fill up my coffee and like I hear it in the background. And then I'm like, I was really invested in the high school kids. So I liked when they were like in the museum and all the high school kids came together to beat that one drone for a second. That was fun. And then Zendaya with her like medieval tool.
With the mace with the spike things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is, like, in terms of like the Spider-Man, him like jumping around the bridge and stopping all the drones, I think that's very cool because, like you were saying, it's like the first time we really see him having to like fight with multiple weapons at once. But I did like that they're like, they're in like the Tower of London and the drone is coming and he has to like look within himself and trust his spider senses to like figure out where Jake Gyllenhaal actually is because it's all an illusion.
That was so badass when he's like looking at Jake Gyllenhaal and he just grabs something in the air and it's like the real Jake Gyllenhaal. He's like, you can't trick me anymore. You can't call me Taylor Swift because you can't trick me anymore, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. Is that a Taylor? Because I was like, is that a Taylor Swift lyric? Can't
Might as well.
And then and then we get the beautiful like the necklace is broken, but it's like it's okay.
She liked it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, just because it might help us out where we're heading to soon, but I thought it was pretty cool in Maria Hill. Like the drone was about to shoot Samuel Jackson. He's like, you got me. And she like is above and shoots a little rocket launcher, blows it up. She's like, yeah, I got you. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Do they have something going on in terms of romance?
No, it's kind of like a trope of Nick Fury. He's always got a really badass woman. Where, like it's either Maria Hill, Scarlett Johansson, or Brie Larson's Captain Marvel.
Yeah. You didn't stay for the end credits, but
let's talk about it.
The biggest reveal is that they're not actually Nick Fury and Maria Hill at the end. So like the actual is that they're like a different type of creature, but like I feel like it'll break your brain because we don't have time to explain Skrulls. We don't have time to explain Skrulls, but they have that weird chemistry because of the history of themselves throughout the show, essentially throughout the movies.
Okay.
And it will break Hannah's brain. So Hannah, just take a time out real quick. But I do want to shout out, the reason I want to do this movie now is because we did get this Skrull reveal. And Jillian, I don't know if you are aware, Secret Invasion is coming up on Disney Plus.
Yes.
And I feel like this with the reveal that Sam Jackson's actually on the Skrull spaceship will come up because I think he's going to be the lead of that show.
They're going to do a whole TV show about basically Samuel Jackson and Maria as like as Andy Cohen, the head of, and what their job entails and their relationship with these like aliens called the Skrulls. And that's like a Captain Marvel thing. Yeah.
I love that for them.
I'll send you a link when it's out. I'll be
Can't wait.
This is the show.
This is the Skrulls.
Welcome to the Skrulls. Okay, Peter saves the day. They go home. Aunt May. Honestly, funniest line I've ever heard from Aunt May. When she's like, "Where are your bags?" All right, they blew up.
Yeah, I did like the reveal whenever Happy and Aunt May that was like on the couch. And then they were like, oh, he's like, yeah, we're dating. And she's like, it was a summer fling. That was cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's like, what?
You better believe that continues in the next Spider-Man movie, and it's so funny.
Do we give her spoilers? Do we like break her heart?
I'm not going to watch any more of these movies unless I'm asked to do another podcast.
Well, I guess you're my new co-host.
No,
I kind of just like her. You know what? I like her thinking. I kind of like Hannah just not knowing, and then it just randomly gets revealed to her.
No, tell me what. Do they get married?
Oh, Jillian, you're gonna go. No, don't break her heart.
Okay.
We can't bring that
never
up.
mind.
No.
Okay,
no, someone dies. Happy dies.
Everybody,
dies.
No.
May dies.
Well, Hannah, we'll talk on Sunday at work.
Yeah, what you do outside of this recording is not my responsibility.
Okay.
But what is my responsibility is leading us into our final segment, which is Fuck, Marry, Kill. I think that was a dope ass transition. Michael, can you keep a track of how many good transitions I do? Because I've been good today, I think. This is Fuck, Marry, Kill. We have 3 characters on the docket that we will discuss. One we will fuck, one we will marry, and one we will kill. Today, for Spider-Man Far From Home, we are going to be talking about Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury, Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, wonder what's going to happen with him, and Colby Smulders' Maria Hill. Robin Scherbatsky is on the docket, finally. I'll go first to give my guests time to think and get their answers ready. So let's see. Honestly, killing Mysterio, killing Jake Gyllenhaal, whatever you want to call him, he's dead. I'm going to crack that fucking helmet that's so stupid. It's not even a helmet. It's just like a fish tank that he put on his head. He looks goofy. I hate green smoke. It's so stupid. Call me Michelle Visage because I don't like the color green. Are we up on that? Do we get that reference?
Wait,
Okay.
say it again.
Michelle Visage.
I'm just laughing at your inflection.
Okay. It is a snow globe. At one point, it was a snow globe during the fantasy sequence. Killing that man. Well, how would I kill him? You know what? I would use his magic against him. I would make him think that, it was Taylor Swift wanting him back, and then I would stab him through the heart. My fuck would be Maria Hill, because I love a lady with a rocket launcher. Fans of the podcast know that I love both the Vampire Slayer. There's a very famous Buffy the Vampire Slayer scene where she blows up a demon with a rocket launcher, and Maria Hill blew up a drone. I could do it for a night, just one night, una noche. Then I'm going to marry Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson. Eye patch on, eye patch off. I'll take him however. I'm pro that man being my husband because he's the ultimate spy and he knows all the superheroes. So I'll meet everybody. Hannah Ingle, please, if you would like to go next.
Okay. I'm going to throw a wrench in things. I'm going to fuck Mysterio. And stay with me.
I've already left.
Imagine this. Imagine this.
I've already left.
You're fucking Mysterio, but he's using drones to like make it really crazy. Okay. So you're going to different dimensions. He's making it a full like IMAX 3D experience, right? And
Yes.
so like you could be like fucking on a cloud or I just think it would be so deeply flawed. And I don't know that him by himself, like he is in the movie, he's all smoke and mirrors, but sometimes that's okay. And I think that could make just a very fun, interesting experience, one that's different than any other bedroom experience that maybe I'd ever had.
If he trimmed the beard, maybe.
And also, I think Jake Gyllenhaal is hot. I do. And I'm going to kill Robin. What's her name?
Maria Hill.
Maria Hill. Because I hated her character on How I Met Your Mother. I found Robin really annoying.
Wow. That's a twist. I did not see that coming.
So one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done for a guy I had a crush on, this was way back, probably, 15 years ago. He told me his favorite show was How I Met Your Mother. And so I watched all of How I know, looking back now, huge red flag, but I watched it all and pretended to like it. So I could talk to him about it. And I did not like Robin. So I'm going to kill her because I just saw her as Robin the entire time in the movie. Couldn't shake that. And then I'll marry Samuel L. Jackson because I feel like he's someone who at work is very hard and very stern, but then he goes home and he's just a big love bug. I really feel like he leaves work at the door and he comes home and he just wants like a hot meal and like watch some Netflix. And I just feel like he's kind in his heart.
I love that. And I think that too.
Yeah.
Very nice. Jillian Ebanks, bring us home.
I'm going to be similar to some of you all. So I am killing Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio as well, just because I want to. I think I'd kill both Jake Gyllenhaal and Mysterio. I think it's impractical to fuck someone with a snow globe on their head. And then also in real life,
I would make him take the snow globe off.
Yeah.
I just want to make that very clear.
I do appreciate what Hannah said though, because the idea of fucking on a cloud seems super cool, or like fucking in the middle of the ocean. But then also like I just feel like he'd abuse it, right?
Yeah.
And then
I forgot to factor in the drones.
And then I'd never trust him. Like, what if he's pretending to fuck someone else, not me? You know? So whatever. And then Jake Gyllenhaal in real life, I'm just like, it's okay. His type of man is not my type of man. So he's just not my type. I would like to fuck Maria Hill or
Kobe.
Mainly because I'm Kobe, yeah, whatever her name is. I don't really date women, but you know, maybe she could be my cup of tea. I'll try anything once. Also, she seems very like the character is very buttoned up and stressed and high stress. And I just like want to go to a bar and get a couple drinks with her and just see her like, you know, see her get a little wild. But also like, is she that aggressive in the bedroom? I'm intrigued. And
Or
then finally,
is she a woo girl? Sorry, this is a How I Met Your Mother reference.
I don't know these references because I got that. I don't. Or is she that like she wants to be dominated? I don't really know how this works. I don't date women, but you know, I think I'm straight. So, I don't like to say definitive. Like I am straight, but then I don't want this like podcast to be 7 years from now. I'm like, remember when you said you're straight? You're fucking a woman now. And I'm like, I didn't know. You know,
if my podcast could be used as evidence,
right? So, I'd like to try it. And then finally, I want to marry Samuel Jackson / Nick Fury. Okay. In real life, Samuel Jackson, he's working all the time. First of all, him and his wife have been together forever, but he's working all the time. And that is my type of husband, the type of husband that's never home. Like if I could just have our mansion in Los Angeles and you're just working and I get to just be by myself, I would love that because I love being by myself. And then I'll get dressed for your premieres. On the flip side, Nick Fury, also never fucking home. No. You mean to tell me if you're going to fake your death and I'm going to be your widow and get these social security checks while you're up in space? Abso-fucking-lutely. I can be out here doing whatever I want. You could be up there with the Skrulls. I'm getting, you know, I'm Mrs. Fury. I don't ever have to see you. That is my type of relationship.
Wow.
I think you came up. That is a comic book run I would read. Mrs. Fury.
Mrs. Fury. Where's
collecting
Nick?
checks?
Girl, I don't know, but I got a social security check. I put flowers at his fake grave yesterday.
What'd you do?
Because he did die in Winter Soldier, and then he's just still alive. He died.
Yeah, that's great. They faked his death in Winter Soldier, but then they never like unfaked.
They never unfaked his death.
He just kept showing up places, and it's like, I guess he's alive.
I want that life insurance.
Beautiful. That is our fuck, marry, kill. Wonderful choices. I think we're all going home with Samuel Jackson as a husband, which I think you can't go wrong. All right, Hannah, Ingle, let's go to you. Where can people find you online? Anything to promote?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at It's Hannah Ingle, and for the next about month, we'll be on the road with Second City. So if you're in the Colorado area, any listeners out there, we'll be hitting up all the ski towns in Colorado. So you should check out Swipes Right.
Oh, very fun. I've seen that poster. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jillian Ebanks, where can we find you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at curly hair no care. Everything spelled how grammar works, with no spaces or underscore. I apologize in advance because it's a lot of basketball nonsense and then some jokes here and there. And I do tour with Hannah, so I will also be in Portland and Colorado the next month. So if you find yourself there, come see our Swipes Right show.
Beautiful, beautiful. This is Podcast 616. You can follow us on Instagram at Podcast 616P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Podcasts, our podcasting network, who foolishly gave me permission to do a Marvel podcast. You fools. You can follow me, Damon Royster, at Dayman Royster on Instagram. That's DaymanRoyster. You can also, I don't know, go to that Instagram. Everything's up there. Illuminati Hour, Chillax Comedy. We're doing a lot. Producer Michael, if you want to hop on the mic real quick, what letter grade would you give this podcast?
I didn't like this movie, but I like the review, so I'll give you guys an A+.
Thank you.
Oh, so sweet.
Thank you.
Man, yeah, I forgot to ask you what you felt about Far From Home. Fascinating. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you, Spider-Man. Swing away, my boy. And and I'll sign off with my Spider-Man catchphrase. Don't forget that with great power comes even greater responsibility. Peter.